Hello. In this video, I'd like to show you how sometimes writing that can be on the surface level very fluent and correct can anyhow be quite horrible when one tries to make sense of it. Here's an example of a text which is my fabrication, so it's not taken from any student text. And very often this kind of text is a product of hurry, when the writer has not had time to think what he or she writes. Also, if the writer is not aware of how to compose the text, the writer may end up with this kind of text. What I'd like you to do now is to pause this recording for a moment and take a few moments to read this text with a thought. So please pause the recording now. Okay. You may found it difficult to get what the writer aims at. And the reason is that what we saw here are all sentences that all discuss employee well-being. But that's the only common denominator there. If we look at the ideas that are presented in the text, the first one is that companies and organizations are becoming more aware of employee well-being. And just one notice, this is the content of this text is more or less bullshit. I mean, I don't know anything about employee well-being. They're just they're really just product of my imagination. So don't take it seriously. The second fact is that the companies have found that this well-being of employees is an asset in recruitment. And the third is that in one sector, they have identified two things: lack of workforce and poor management, that will lower employee well-being. And the fourth is there are some metrics to measure the employee well-being. The problem is that there is no logical connection between the four facts. They are just four random facts around one topic that has been put into the same paragraph. There is no story that develops here. There is no development. They are just different facts around one topic. What is even worse is that here the writer has thought that, okay, in academic writing, you need this kind of connectors, the words that are now painted red, or not the words, but expressions. On the other hand, similarly, and in addition, those red painted words. And the worst is that the writer here has put them quite randomly. If you have a look at the first two sentences, they are combined with "on the other hand." On the other hand suggests some kind of contrast. But here in the blue text, it says that the companies are becoming increasingly aware. And in the second one, that it's an asset of the recruitment. The second one is rather a part of the first one, a reason for that. There is no contrast. There is no contradiction. In the same way, if you look at the green and the gray one, an asset in recruitment and then a reason for poor employee well-being. How come similarly? It simply makes no sense to put there a connector similarly. The same with the last one, in addition. How is it addition that different metrics have been suggested to measure employee well-being compared to the one that it's there's a lack of workforce and poor management that may lower employee well-being? So all the red connecting words they use is simply quite absurd. And that makes reading the text even more difficult. Let's see how we could make this text or use this as a beginning of something more beautiful and something more logical. This first one is actually quite nice intro sentence. Organizations are increasingly aware of the importance of the well-being of the employees. And also the second one could be continuation for that. But that would probably need some kind of introduction in between. Okay, companies are becoming aware of that, but then I have added here a kind of intro sentence for the continuation. Several reasons for this have been found. And then, for example, and then you get that being asset in the recruitment is one reason why companies are becoming more aware of employee well-being. And then the story goes on with other reasons why employee well-being has been found important. And this would constitute one paragraph. And then these facts would also belong, these facts would also belong to other paragraphs. And if you have a look at the two facts, one is a research result, the yellow one, and the purple one is, here we talk how to make research, how to conduct research on this topic, what kind of metrics can be used. So in writing, we have a general principle. We start from the general and move on to more specific. It would make sense to turn this around and first talk about the metrics that has been suggested, and only then about the research results that we have found. So the next chapter could be something like different metrics have been suggested to measure employee well-being, for example, and then you would give more examples of different metrics. So you just don't just say one single sentence or one single topic, but you expand that more and develop the idea. If something is worth only one sentence, maybe it's not worth mentioning at all. Then the last paragraph could be something like that. Recent research has found several factors that affect well-being. This kind of introduction sentence would be nice. And then you say, and maybe now here we could say it, researcher prominently and start with the researchers' names. Schmidt found that blah, blah, blah. And there was one finding by Schmidt, and then you could move on with some similar findings. What other factors have been found that affect employee well-being? There are good tools to test if your paragraph is coherent, as we say. This is not a coherent paragraph. It means that the ideas that are presented in the paragraph, they don't form an entity, and the story is not developed logically in the paragraph. In the next unit, Unit 3, we will learn two concepts, topic sentence and controlling idea, that help you to test your paragraph, whether it's coherent or logical or not. Maybe it doesn't make sense to study Unit 3 topics in detail right now when you're writing the conceptual basis, but it's good to keep in mind that each paragraph should have one controlling idea that is developed in the paragraph.